All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Orange Crush podcast presented by Newton Scott and Associates. For more on that, stick around for a little quick blurb on that. But guys, this is an instant reaction podcast. We're in the business of doing that once again. Carter Scruggs, a 4-star tackle out of Leesburg, Virginia, has committed to Clemson. This makes it back-to-back days where Matt Luke has secured 4-star pledges on the offensive line. He's taking programs and shoving them into the locker. We've been writing about it on TigerNet, David, but man, continuing to win on that front, transforming that position, and if you can get them all through December, feasibly, you've got one of the better offensive line rooms in the country if they all pan out like they should.
Right, and we all know, look, there's going to be some attrition after this year. You're going to lose Blake Miller, you're going to lose Tristan Lee, you're going to lose Ryan Linthicum, you're going to lose Walker Parks. I mean, there's some definite attrition going on. So Clemson wanted to go into this class 6, that brilliant number, right? Let's swing. Let's see if we can get 6 offensive linemen. You know, but in the past you say that, and Clemson's like, well, we've picked up two stars and, you know, two 4-stars and a 3-star, yeah, whatever. But Matt Luke has gone out, and I told you the other night after the official visits or during the official visits that somebody who was in the room said these offensive linemen are massive. That included Clemson's current commits, plus some guys that they were targeting. Leo Delaney, who has since committed to Clemson, and now Carter Scruggs. And we were just talking about that, Grayson. These are some dudes. I mean, they come ready-made, right?
Oh, yeah, they're basically, you don't have to sit them in the crock pot, as you had alluded to it. You don't have to force feed them food for 2 years to hope they're ready to play. Don't have to feed them Chick-fil-A, which also sponsors this podcast. Thank you. You don't have to force feed them chicken nuggets from McDonald's to hope that the poundage increases. Look at Carter Scruggs right now, and this kid is probably 17. Could be like these kids are young, like still growing into their bodies. He's 6'6", 290, and moves like a receiver. And so when you look at sort of his tape, and I did another watch this morning just to see what I was seeing earlier, I wanted to confirm it. And the first play is a counter pull to his side. He's at left tackle. And the way his bend is, it's just so fluid. And then out of nowhere, a poor linebacker decides to come to the second level to challenge him. And Scruggs just, with his one arm, extends it, and the dude goes flying. And it's just a matter of, okay, wow, that's a poor high schooler that had pre-cal this afternoon and was like, I got to face who tonight? So all jokes aside, sort of the offense that Gary Riley wants to run, we saw a lot of those counter pulls with Tate and Lee. And to do varying degrees of success, you're going to have a different type of athlete on this offensive line here soon. And it's just this continued transformation of the position. We see it with the Notre Dames, the Ohio States, the national championship teams. They have depth, but they have versatile, monstrous athletes, and Clemson's recruiting just like them.
And I tell you what I love about these guys is they are big, but they're not fat. You know, they are just solid guys. I mean, we've stood there next to them, you know, and I kind of go back to something I told you about, you know, several years ago in a conversation with a Clemson coach. You know, hey, recruiting on the offensive line, Clemson doesn't do a great job of it. There's not a lot of history there. What are you looking for? And they would go out and get 240, 245, 250-pound guys, and you put them in the crock pot for 3 years, and you feed them milkshakes at night and, you know, peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and you hope that they can get to 280 or 285 by year 3, and maybe then they can contribute. These kids are coming in, and they look the part already. I remember Clemson landed a 4-star, will not say the name, several years ago. And it was one of the bigger kids that Clemson had recruited in a while. And I went to watch him play, and I turned around and I said, he'll never play a significant snap in college football. Overweight and the most knock-kneed human being I have ever laid eyes on in my life. And the legs were skinny. And I remember, you know, telling a coach, I just don't think, sure, he's a 4-star. Everybody's putting a lot of, you know, stock in him. He's not ready to play college football. I don't think he ever will be. And he didn't. He wound up getting injured his first year on campus and hung around the program. These kids are not like that. These kids are big. They're big-legged, big-assed. I mean, everything that you like long arms. You love that length, right? And then you add them to the class like Elijah Thurman, Braden Jacobs. Some of these guys that Clemson's already added, and you go, woo! And so Tate Reynolds, Clemson's quarterback commit, I texted him last night late. We were talking, we knew about Scruggs, late Wednesday. He had apparently committed on Tuesday. I think my days are right. He apparently committed Tuesday night. I was told, late Wednesday, hey, he's definitely on board, be looking for the commitment. And I texted Tate Reynolds, the quarterback. I was like, man, your offensive line is going to be pretty good. And I get back fire emojis. It's like, if you're a quarterback, you go, yeah, I'll play under these guys. That's different times around here with Matt Luke.
Yeah, and you mentioned that point. I'd love to sort of elaborate on that with Tate Reynolds. It's going to attract other prospects, and we're going to be moving the page to 2027. We've already had some stuff come out of that with Sweeney's camp. You're going to start seeing commitments, and it's this domino effect of these younger quarterbacks. They're going to look at, okay, most successful quarterbacks, even when they're really good, if your offensive line can't protect you, it falls apart. We've seen Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay's pass rush annihilates him, and he loses 31-9. It happens to the best of the best. And so you're looking at sort of the board across the country, and you look at Matt Luke's room, and you go, okay, Braden Jacobs, Elijah Thurman, Adam Guthrie, Grant Wise, Leo Delaney, and the list just goes on and on. You're like, even if they have a couple injuries, you throw in X, Y, and Z into this spot, and you can plug and play. You're going to feel like you could sit and read a book back there in the pocket, is how fortified it could potentially be. Now, obviously, the portal and depth could potentially change a few things. So obviously not everybody in a few years could potentially be staying, but who knows? This is just kind of the way college football is now. But I had sort of written about it in our What It Means piece. The playoff is going to expand again, and that only means more games. And we saw it with Georgia. We saw it with a couple other teams. Injuries on the offensive line beat them up. And so you're throwing in these tackles that you don't fully believe in. And then in Georgia's case, with a backup quarterback that's maybe throwing a little too early on a certain count, where maybe someone's wide open over the middle and you just let it go a second early because you don't trust the guys ahead of you. They've got 7 or 8 deep to be able to go potentially 16, 17, maybe 18, 19 games as we continue to see this bracket evolve. Maybe it'll be that joke skit where we get 3,200 teams in the playoff. Who knows? But this is how Matt Luke's building for the future, and it's very forward-thinking. And we got to say, it's got to be one of Sweeney's best hires he's had quite some time. Before we get back to this video, we'd like to thank the title sponsor for this podcast, Newton, Scott, and Associates. This team is headlined by Jeff Scott, former Clemson assistant coach and 2-time national champion, as well as Eric Newton, a longtime local and trusted real estate partner. These two are teaming up to provide a first-class experience for all Clemson fans. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or build in the upstate area of South Carolina, you can trust Newton, Scott, and Associates. Choose the same team that Clemson coaches are selecting when they're looking to buy, sell, or build, all the way from Tigertown to Lake Kiowee. For more information, you can find them at newtonscottsc.com or by calling the number 864-722-9062. That's 864-722-9062. Now, let's get back to the video.
Don't you just love look, camp can be hot, camp can be long, and the offensive line, they don't work out on the two main fields. They have a little 20, 25-yard section over on the side of the indoor practice facility backed up to the moat. If one of them makes a misstep, they fall into the brackish, ugly water. But it's kind of in the shadow of Death Valley, but it's right up against the brick of the building, and it is smoking hot over there because you've got the turf, you've got the moat right there. The sun is beating down. There's no shade ever over there. And these guys are over there doing more work than anybody else. The quarterbacks, they're all pretty. They're over there just throwing footballs. The running backs are going through drills. And you see the guys who really want to do this. And you wrote in your story about one of these guys who Sweeney coming around on the golf cart. And he's like, now it's go time. Now I have to really work. And he had already worked. And then they were like, no, we've seen enough. You're done for the day. And that's what I like about these guys is we've seen them in camp. We've seen them come around. We've seen them at different, events. They're all workers, man. And it doesn't matter how hot it is. Doesn't matter that it's not the glamour. It's only parents or coaches over there on that side of the building, right? Not a lot of cameras over there. Not a lot of people with video cameras. It's just a bunch of big uglies putting in work. And I love these guys.
Yeah, there were a lot of smiles yesterday, and it stems from Matt Luke, who's just got this infectious energy. And this might as well be like the Matt Luke podcast here, just because of how we're talking about him. But I talked to Carter Jones last night, who just received an offer from Clemson. Talked to Peyton Miller, the story when we did the story on, and just gush about just the energy. And yeah, it's hot, it sucks, and you may be dehydrated. Or Reed Ramesseer, First Academy offensive lineman, who also has learned a step from Chancellor Barclay, who's also a Clemson offensive lineman commit, about this sort of the mystery and intrigue of Matt Luke. Even in passing conversation, there's just, it's like a magnet. You're just gravitated towards it. And so there's just this lineage that continues to build. But I was sweating over there in the corner. There were some parents, and they were doing this jumping. They're trying to get them to jump through these certain pads, and each level it would increase by one. And they're just having fun. And like some offensive linemen were being taken down. You got people yelling sniper, and it's just, they were having fun over there. They're all sweating bullets, and you couldn't tell. Like they were either at the water park, the Disney World, or in the grueling heat of a summer day. And you just, if you just close your eyes and weren't given context, you would have to really guess, because they were having a ball.
Great moment over there. Yesterday with Matt Luke, there was a kid over there who was doing a drill, didn't do it right. Matt Luke was like, do it again, do it again, do it again. And this kid's not a Clemson prospect, okay? I don't know that this kid will ever play college football, just from, what I see. And Matt Luke's like, do it again. And the kid's pouring sweat. And then finally he gets it right. And the smile on his face was incredible. And then, you hear the horn sound, and it's water break time, and they run from station to station. And Matt Luke was trying to caution them, hey, it's hot. Take the whole 5 minutes, because guys were running over there and taking a sip of, that much of water and trying to run back out. Matt Luke's like, no, take your time with it. Take your time. Get hydrated. And all of a sudden you see these big guys, and they're tossing 4 and 5 and 6 Gatorades down. I love going over there and watching him. And I think that's why he has 6 commits for the 26 recruiting class.
Yeah, and 6 commits. We're going to find out more about all of that and dive into it on TigerNet.com. But guys, thank you as always for tuning into the Orange Crush podcast. Subscribe for more. God bless y'all.